Let's dive right into this explainer and crack open a fascinating ancient mystery box straight out of the Mahabharata. Picture this, right? It's a quiet evening in an ancient city, and suddenly the silence is just shattered by a noise so distinct and so powerful that it kicks off this massive chain reaction of hope, deception, and some serious deduction. The text describes this sound as being like the deep roar of the clouds in the rainy season. And this single auditory clue, this massive, ground-shaking rattle of a chariot pulling into the city of Kundina, is literally the inciting incident for the entire drama we're looking at. We aren't starting with some grand battlefield clash or a lengthy monologue. We are kicking things off with a sound so loud it's described as filling all 10 points of the horizon, direct and transverse. This isn't just your everyday chariot, It's a chariot making an entrance that completely commands the attention of the world. Section 1. The Thunderous Arrival. Sensory Cues in Kundina. So as King Rituparna of Ayodhya rolls up, the sheer volume of his chariot just echoes through the streets. And this brilliantly shows us the raw power of sensory storytelling. The animals, they don't even need to see who's driving. They just react with pure, joyful instinct to a sound that completely mimics a massive thunderstorm. The elephants in the stables, the peacocks up on the terraces, they literally turn to face the direction of the sound and start crying out, experiencing the exact same joy they feel when real rain clouds roll in. And even more tellingly, the royal steeds that used to belong to King Nala hear this sound and go absolutely wild, acting as if their old master is standing right there in front of them. It sets up this really fascinating juxtaposition. On one hand, you've got this pure animal instinct expecting rain, but on the other hand, you have complex human memory. Both King Bhima and Princess Damayanti instantly recognize this signature clatter. They know it's completely identical to the driving style of the missing King Nala. To them, it is definitely not just a storm. The text actually tells us they regard the clatter to be identical to when Nala himself urged his own steeds. So the sound perfectly bridges that gap between animal instinct and human memory. Section 2. Damayanti's Desperate Hope. High-stakes emotion. For Princess Damayanti, this sound triggers an incredibly agonizing sense of hope. She places so much weight on this one single auditory clue that she threatens to enter a pyre of golden brilliance if the driver isn't her beloved Nishada, King Nala. She flat out states, "If I am not clasped today in that hero's thrilling embrace, I shall certainly cease to be." She is making it crystal clear that if she doesn't see Nala, whose face she describes as bright as the moon, she will literally die. Her heart has been obsessing over him night and day, and it's basically ready to burst with grief. This one sound has pushed her right to the absolute edge. But wheeling out there on her terrace, basically devoid of sense, she starts listing all his absolute virtues to justify this intense torment. Because to her, he isn't just a king. He is exalted, he's forgiving, he's heroic, and he's just flat out superior to all other kings. She reminds us that he's a man who has never spoken an untruth, not even as a joke, and is fiercely faithful to his marriage vow. By rattling off these specific traits, the story really underscores the sheer tragedy of his absence and exactly why his return is a desperate necessity. Section 3. An awkward royal encounter. What they said versus what they thought. Okay, so when the dust finally settles in the courtyard, Damayanti doesn't see Nala. Instead, she sees King Rituparna, and what follows is this totally relatable, almost awkward comedy of manners. Rituparna shows up expecting this grand Swayamvara, a massive royal marriage ceremony, but he looks around and sees absolutely no one. Completely embarrassed, he covers it up with a polite lie, claiming he just came to pay his respects. Meanwhile, King Bhima plays the gracious host on the outside, but internally, he is absolutely astonished. He knows Rituparna just drove 100 yojans, which is a massive, totally exhausting distance, and he's thinking to himself that this excuse makes zero sense. It's completely flimsy. It's a perfect look at how these ancient royals navigated awkward social landmines. Both of these powerful kings know for a fact that there's a deception at play here. But Bhima decides, you know what, I'm not going to just summarily dismiss Rituparna. He resolves to simply figure out the real reason later and politely sends the exhausted king to his royal quarters. They basically save face, stick strictly to protocol, and secretly plot to uncover the real truth behind the scenes. Section 4. The investigation begins. The detective's logic. Now, while the kings are busy playing politics, Damayanti absolutely refuses to ignore her own senses. She actually transforms all that frantic, near-fatal grief into this highly structured, logical investigation based entirely on the evidence of her own ears. First, she locks in on the physical evidence, right? The car rattle was undeniably as loud as Nala's. Then she notes the giant visual contradiction. Nala just isn't there. The ruler of the Nishadas is not visible. So she starts forming hypotheses. Did the driver, Varshneya, somehow learn this specific art of driving from Nala? Or is it possible King Rituparna is just equally skilled and creates a rattle that mimics Nala's perfectly? She is basically acting like a master detective here, carefully piecing together the puzzle. And what's brilliant is she doesn't just sit up there on the terrace wondering about it. She takes immediate action. The blessed and beauteous girl dispatches a female messenger right away in search of Nishada to uncover the truth. She essentially launches her own covert fact-finding mission to cut straight through the visual disguises in the courtyard and validate what her ears already told her. She takes complete control of the narrative. So, as we wrap up the lessons from this explainer, I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. We just watched powerful kings smile and lie right to each other's faces, using protocol and disguises to mask the truth. But the peacocks, they knew the truth. The elephants knew. The steeds knew. And Damayanti's heart knew. When everyone around you is hiding something behind a polite smile or a visual disguise, perhaps the only thing you can truly trust is the thunderous sound of your own instinct.